بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Jawahir al-Qur'an wa Durr, the Juz of the Qur'an and Spares. We have reached Surah Al-Ra'd. Imam Al-Ghazali selected verses 17 to 22 and then 26 to 29. This surah has in the beginning of the surah and thereafter, before verse 17, for the selection, this surah has several verses that amazingly some of these verses have been addressed, of course, in the past, even by companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ibn Abbas anhuma, who's known as the translator of the Quran in the sense of interpreter of the Quran, and of course second generation of Muslims, Tabi'un. And I think the best way is to simply read from the beginning and try to highlight these verses in what is described today as the scientific interpretation of the Quran. Not subscribing to everything, but there are ideas that one can share, and I think, inshallah, they prove to be right, sound, accurate interpretation in the light of our knowledge of the universe and, of course, our globe and ourselves. We'll get to this, inshallah, bit by bit. So, to begin with, there should be no contradiction between the Quran and scientific law. The Quran contradictory if we have something that is not compatible. Not, of course, in the Quran. We talk about the it's going to be between either an interpretation of the Quran or an interpretation of the universe. Like if you talk about some of these theories, they are not scientific laws. Thus we begin, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. ألف لام ميم را تلك آيات الكتاب والذي أنزل إليك من ربك الحق ولكن أكثر الناس لا يؤمنون. Alif Lam Mim Ra, these are of course, the independent, separate letters, which are usually followed by a reference to the Quran, to the book. These are the verses of the book. These are the building blocks, if you will. It's a challenge for people to come up with anything like the Quran, and they will never do. What has been revealed to you, addressing the Prophet ﷺ, from your Lord is the truth, but most people do not believe. Now with the first reference to the Allah الذي رفع السماوات بغير عمد ترونها. It is Allah who has raised the heavens without pillars, as you can see, that you can see. And I think probably if we translate it into, because that translation into any other language is an interpretation itself. So I will translate it like this, rather than this translation which says, without pillars. And then in brackets, as you can see, it is Allah who has raised the heavens without pillars that you can see. Or we can say it is Allah who has raised the heavens without um, observable pillars that might, without observable pillars. Meaning that there are pillars, and this will be understood in terms of the forces that we have uh, in in the universe. We do have electromagnetic forces, fields. We have strong nuclear force. We have weak nuclear force. Some are everything is well, related to each other, but some working on the micro level. And the fourth one, it's really the first one in terms of is the gravitational force. And the gravitational force means that we do have uh, matter. It's obvious when we talk about the seen matter, like our own globe, our own solar system, the galaxies, what we can see of the universe, but also in the places that we cannot see. For example, if we talk about the black holes, there could be very the matter there because of the very, very strong gravitational force that bends even time, could be space and time, of course. Uh, where these black holes, they and metaphorically they swallow stars, but also the dark matter in the universe. Still, we talk about a theory, but there is intergalactic medium. They talk about hot, tenuous hydrogen gas, but again, probably there is more to this. There could be some undiscovered subatomic particle. So this is why when we talk about the this particular or this part of the verse number 2 in Surah Al-Ra'd, thunder. الله الذي رفع السماوات بغير عمد ترونها. Mind you, so that people will not say that this is simply a new interpretation, and to dismiss this, Ibn Kathir in the interpretation of this particular surah, this particular verse, he said, وَقَوْلُهُ بِغَيْرِ عَمَدٍ تَرَوْنَهَا, referring to the without observable pillars that you can see. روي عن ابن عباس ومجاهد والحسن وقتادة وغير واحد. So Ibn Abbas, and then later on, second generation beyond Mujahid al-Hasan al-Qatada and others, they said قالوا لها عمد ولكن لا ترى. It does have pillars with that, but they are not observable, they cannot be seen. And I think this is extremely important. ثم استوى على العرش الله الذي رفع السماوات بغير عمد ترونها ثم استوى على العرش وسخر الشمس والقمر كل يجري لأجل مسمى يدبر الأمر يفصل الآيات لعلكم بلقاء ربكم توقنون. Such as Allah who has raised the heavens without observable pillars, of course, that you can see, and then established himself on the throne. Just don't, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did basically, we just don't think about anything that could portray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in three-dimensional, four-dimensional image on the, at least the linguistic level, for nothing is like unto him, laysa kamithlihi shay. The arsh itself, also do not think of a throne like earthly kings made. Just remember the hadith ما السماوات السبع ما فيهن وما بينهن في الكرسي إلا كحلقة ملقاة بأرض فلا والكرسي في العرش المجيد كتلك الحلقة في تلك الفلاة، أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. One can the kursi, and sometimes they translate this as a stool. It's I think it's a very bad translation. The universe relative to the stool is simply like the a circle, a throne in a vast land, open space, and the kursi itself compared to the arsh, to the glorified arsh, is like the universe to the kursi, like this halaqa in that vast land. And the in the other narration, وَالْعَرْشُ لَا يَقْدُرُ قَدْرَهُ إِلَّا اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ, and the throne, no one knows its vastness, no one knows its size, if you will, its nature, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the arsh, the kursi, and the universe we talk about, created objects in the sense of, even though we speak about the vast, massive, and a dimension probably in existence that we are, of course, not aware of, except at the moment of death, something will, of course, will become available for us. فَبَصَرُكَ الْيَوْمَ حَدِيدٌ, your sight becomes keen. You will, you are going to enter a different dimension, different reality, in addition to the one that we are aware of right now. This is why the right after speaking about the sun and the moon, each orbiting for an appointed term. We are aware of the orbit of the moon around the Earth. We are aware of the orbit of the Earth and other planets around the Sun. But the orbit of the Sun, our solar system, our Sun, orbits the galaxy today. The movements, and along with the galaxy, we are moving away from other galaxies. But there is an appointed term, لأجل مسمى. Every created thing has an end, has a term. Compared to bees and flies, the average human being lives way longer, but compared to the universe, the human life is simply in terms of years, not in terms of role, is very insignificant. And if you compare the billions of years that we speak about when we speak about the universe, compared to eternity, infinity, is zero. The sun, scientifically, but it doesn't mean that we are waiting until the Earth runs out of energy, of hydrogen. It will take probably around 5 billion years to become a red giant, and still, and before it collapses under its own weight, as they say, and probably is going to be absorbed by black holes. That does mean that the last day is going to be after 5 billion or 7 billion years, 8 billion years, if you are going to calculate the other billions. Um, After the sun dies, if you will, even scientists, astrophysicists, have four scenarios for the end of the universe. Um, no, it doesn't have to be that. It's just like a human being who appears very healthy, and then ultimately something happens. Um, every every one of them, but everything, each orbiting for an appointed term. He subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, conducts the whole affair. He makes the signs clear so that you may be certain of the meeting with your Lord. If everything is going to return, if everything is going to end, uh, this universe will not be the same. They will end, then يوم تبدل الأرض غير الأرض والسماوات. And there's going to be changes to the nature of the universe. There's, of course, there'll be changes to our own nature. These bodies that we have right now are fit for this life, and on the day of the resurrection, people will have bodies that are fit for eternity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a'lam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. Verse number 3: وهو الذي مد الأرض وجعل فيها رواسي وأنهارا ومن كل الثمرات جعل فيها زوجين اثنين يغشي الليل النهار إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. And he is the one who spread out the earth and placed firm mountains and rivers upon it, and created fruits of every kind in pairs. Pairs, we talk about male, female, the pollination, really. Just to give you an example, if you have palm trees, you have male and you have female, and you'll get the male organ and you place it on the female organs. That will be like we talk about these dates. They come from the female, but it's pollinated. They put a sac sometimes. Today they have even some modern methodologies to pollinate. They spray the pollens taken from the male organs of the palm. So palm tree, they look the same, but one is male and one female. That's one possible, of course. And I think this is what it means. He covers the day and night. He covers the day with night, surely, and these are signs for those who reflect. The translation of And the description of the mountains being placed firm mountains and rivers upon it on the earth. Uh, let's talk about the etymology of the word rawasi. Uh, Typically, the rawasi, uh, if we talk about mirsa, anchor, uh, anchoring the tectonic plates, anchoring the earth. So these mountains are described also in the Quran as awtada, pigs. Like, think about the pigs you use to fix a tent so that the wind will not blow it away. And that's the mountains, and physically that's exactly what it is. So the mountains, these massive mountains, they fix the earth's crust. They prevent sliding over the magma layer. And think about the image of a nail, uh, putting like putting things together like two pieces of wood. And scientifically, the this effect is known as isostasy in scientific literature. So it's rawasi. Okay. So the translation is not placed firm mountains. He placed firming mountains, if you'd like to use the word firm, fixing the mountains, that fixes the mountains, uh, anchoring mountains, that would be more accurate. So rawasi uh, is basically like these pigs, like these. It's fixing the crust of the earth. The verse number 4: وفي الأرض قطع متجاورات وجنات من أعناب وزرع ونخيل صنوان وغير صنوان يسقى بماء واحد ونفضل بعضها على بعض في الأكل إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يعقلون. Uh, and on the earth there are different neighbor tracts. We'll get back to this first phrase. وفي الأرض قطع متجاورات, gardens of grapevines, various crops, palm trees, some stemming from the same root, others standing alone. They are all irrigated with the same water, yet we make some taste better than others. Surely in this are signs for those who understand. The second part I have been always, whatever that means, I have paid attention to. It's the same earth, like in, it's the same earth, it's the same water, and we have apples, we have apricots, we have plums, we have grapes, almonds, oranges, grapefruit, olives, um, um, and if you would like to add the plants, the flowers, but even the grapes, even the the plums or the apricots, indeed, the grapes. There are several types, several flavors. It's the same, and also sage grows in the same area. The bitter leaves that in our part of the world we use that drink as medicine for stomach aches. But the idea is same earth, same water. Subhanallah, subhanallah. But the first part now, the first phrase, وفي الأرض قطع متجاورات, translated here as neighboring tracts. No, it's this is reference, inshallah, to the tectonic plates. Yes, and if you roughly, we talk about close to the shape um, of the continents, but that's roughly so. Subhanallah. Number 4. وإن تعجب فعجب قولهم إذا كنا ترابا إنا لفي خلق جديد أولئك الذين كفروا بربهم أولئك الأغلال في أعناقهم وأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. Now, if anything should amaze you, addressing still the Prophet ﷺ, then it is their question: when we are reduced to dust, death, dust, from dust to dust, will we really be raised as a new creation? It is they who have disbelieved in their Lord. It is they who will have shackles around their necks. And it is they who will be the residents of the fire, hellfire. They will be there forever. So people will be dust, and this is not the only place in the Quran. The man who took a very old piece of bones and rubbed it in his hands and reducing it to dust, and قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وكل خلق عليم. Who will revive these bones when they became so old? Say, he who created them in the first time will create them again. Since nothing in the universe except its existence is by design, and we know today that the our blueprint, if you will, our genome, our DNA, is by design, then it is in the preserved tablet. Everything is recorded. Everything is on record, and I remember reading about the team that worked on mapping the human genome. Scientists from the United States, Britain, France, Germany, Japan, and others, a very large team. And it's amazing. It's impossible. It's impossible to evolve. Even when you think about our composition, it's impossible to be the result of uh, uh, Earth becoming us, physics becoming biology in the form of a human being with 86 billion neurons and billions of uh, uh, billions of You talk about the mitochondria, you talk about the DNA, base pairs, and I think it's very important for people, in as much as uh, when they talk about human physiology, you talk about the intestines and talk about the appendices, as if it has been added, as if it has been extra. Just simply say, I don't know its function. Maybe to replenish the intestines with beneficial bacteria if you have diarrhea or you vomit. And the same thing when we talk about the DNA, they speak about 1%. I'm still referring to the uh, when we are reduced to dust, will we really be raised as a new creation? Um, these scientists speak about 1% of DNA as coding DNA, and I'm appalled by the description, by by the adjective that the other 99% are junk. In the creation, there is no junk. There's no junk. Everything is intended. If you don't understand its role, that's fine. You will still, inshallah, have time to understand, but just don't call it junk. Be That's not a modest, humble reference to an amazing creation. We still have other verses. Um, verse 8: الله يعلم ما تحمل كل أنثى وما تغيض الأرحام وما تزداد وكل شيء عنده بمقدار. Allah knows what every female bears and what increases and decreases in the wombs. And with Him, everything is determined with precision. I think the every female is born with all the eggs. We talk about hair, ovaries, already as all the eggs. Nothing will be added later on. But in terms of uh, what decreases, what increases in the wombs, it could be interpreted as uh, pregnancies, full term, maybe pregnancies that will not reach the stage of not being completed, and not ending with birth, for example, or if, like miscarriages, the which egg will be fertilized and which not. Maybe even a word about uh, educating boys and girls, but especially girls, about the possibility of having ovarian cysts. Not This is not, of course, our field, but I thought this is a chance to. Uh, we have to have a scientific culture. We have to educate. This is a very important thing because it seems that most girls will have, or at least many girls will have a cyst, and how to deal with that, to understand, rather than thinking it's simply having and infection is like not really in the ovaries. At any rate, this is a very complex picture regarding uh, reproduction. The So of course Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. Um, and remember the story of Sayyidina Zakaria alayhi salam in the Quran, when he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for offspring, and he was granted Yahya alayhi salam. Inshallah, the next session we'll get to the selections that Imam Ghazali selected from the surah, verses to begin with 17 to 22, and we'll see whether we could complete the whole thing, because relatively speaking a short section. Until then, subhanakallah wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.